Hey everybody, so I'm doing a quick review of the new Arrow release of Beyond the Door. Now, as I've mentioned before, this is actually one I've been looking forward to because I actually really love this film. I know a lot of people don't like it. In fact, somebody on my Facebook went off on a huge rant about how much they hate this film. But I actually really enjoy it. In fact, I enjoy it so much. The moment I found out that this was coming out from Arrow, I mean, I think I pre-ordered it the second it went up. And what's great is that they did do, one of their full limited editions. So I got the nice box of it, and just real quick inside, so obviously here's the outer cover, here's the Blu-ray, which I always do turn around the inside slip to showcase the original artwork. And this is a 2-disc set. So you see here, there's disc 1 and disc 2. And because this is a deluxe release, of course, it does come with a couple extra swag. So it has a couple of these little like mini reprints of a couple things. So here's a reprint of I don't know if it's a half sheet or a lobby card. This looks like a reprint of one of the stills, probably from like the press kit or something. And here's another one, as you can see here. Again, I think from the press kit. Here's an interesting Asian poster. And I should point out that on the back of each of these does have the US poster. As you can see there, it's on each card. Here's an interesting one. Quite an image there. And then finally, this is kind of bizarre. You can see everyone there, and for some reason she's like sideways there, which I don't remember that part in the movie. But again, those cool extras that, Arrow puts into their sets. And as always, they do include a poster. See if I can get this on camera. So one side has the original US poster, which you can see here. And then the back has their new artwork, which is on the outer box, which is cool. They're good size posters and everything. One of the things I love about Arrow's releases, and as is always the case, they have one of their amazing booklets with a bunch of stuff. I think I can show most of this on camera. Maybe I shouldn't flip through it without knowing what's here. But it's just there's like articles and behind the scenes photos and everything. I mean, they always do such a nice job with their booklets. I almost hate calling them booklets because they're literally like mini books. But now let's get to the discs. And as far as the discs go, so first off, it has 2 versions of the film. The extended, I think it's called the European cut or the English export version. But it's basically the longer cut of the film. And then it has the shorter US cut. Now, the shorter US cut, I don't think actually cuts out any like gore, violence, or anything like that. I think it edits out some of the non-horror bits, basically. But it's cool that it does have both cuts, and they are on different discs. So you're not losing quality because they're trying to cram too much on one disc. So disc 1 has the longer cut, and disc 2 has the US cut. Now, disc 1 has the majority of the extras. It's got a bunch of interviews, a couple new ones, but it does luckily port over, I think, everything from the Code Red release. I tried to double check, and I want to say everything is on there, including the original intro with Juliet Mills. But luckily it does have some new interviews, and disc 2 that has a US cut on it also has a feature-length documentary about the sort of Italian Exorcist ripoff films that they did in the 70s. And it's a pretty good documentary too. I love Italian cinema, so anything that kind of gets into that and interviews a bunch of people about it, I always love. And as far as the transfer goes, it looks great. I mean, obviously you are limited because, as I've mentioned in other reviews of Italian films, they're usually shot on very grainy film stock. They're also not always archived as well as they should be. And so for some of them, they can technically only look so good. And this is definitely one of those where the film can really only look so good. But as far as how good it could look, I think it looks as good as it could look. The grain is intact. The colors are about as good as they could be without oversaturating and faking any color palette. There are some optical effects that obviously will reduce the image quality during those scenes. But overall, it was very, very well done. And the audio was really good because it's a mono track, but I was actually surprised by how good it was. And one of the things about Beyond the Door is because it's an Exorcist ripoff film, only instead of a kid, it's a mom and she's pregnant and the demon wants the baby or something. Yeah, I'm actually not really 100% sure what the hell the film's about, but she's possessed and goes through the motions. Her appearance changes. She's spitting up green stuff. But I have to admit that it is creepy. There's a breathing sound effect that really kind of gets under my skin every time it's there. So having a good audio mix really brought that out, much to my chagrin. And I did compare it real quick to the previous Blu-ray release by Code Red, and I will say I do prefer the transfer on the Arrow release. I think it's actually a really great transfer. Now, I will say, though, it's not a night and day difference. I mean, the thing is, Code Red did do a good job on the transfer with theirs, so it will come down to whether or not you feel you want to upgrade if you already have the Code Red one. I mean, if you're a fan of the film like I am, the Arrow release is a no-brainer, but if you already have the Code Red version and you're sort of like, yeah, I like the film, but you may just want to stick with the Code Red version. And I do believe this is region-free, if I'm not mistaken. Now, if you've never seen Beyond the Door, I do believe it's on a couple streaming sites if you want to go check it out first. It's not for everybody. I mean, it is one of those Italian knockoff films from The Exorcist, which may or may not mean anything to you. For me, again, I just love the film. I was probably gonna love this release unless they screwed something up, and they didn't. Like, it looks as good as it can look. It sounds great. It's got all the extras that were there before, plus some really, really good new ones. I mean, for me, this is a fantastic release, and again, it's got Arrow's fantastic packaging as well with all the extra swag. I always gotta say swag that way. And these are limited. I mean, I'm sure, like they do in their other releases, eventually they'll release a single standard version. Now, the only thing I will say, which I don't know at the time of this recording, is whether or not the standard version will be both discs or only disc one. Not sure about that. So if that means something to you, if you want both versions and you can swing the money, definitely go for the limited release. So I know, not super in depth, but that's just my 2 cents on the new release of Beyond the Door. Let me know if you have any questions and I will try and answer them. And if you plan on picking it up, definitely let me know. And as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.